Welcome to Great Life City Network. Be inspired.
Now, so let me show you the strategy of the Antichrist. And the strategy of the Antichrist is deepened in the Nigerian church. The first strategy of the Antichrist is to ensure that he violates the principle of separation. That's the first strategy. And when the principle of separation is violated, oh my God, darkness strangles the potential of light. 1 John chapter 2, verse 18 to 20. Let me show you the principle of the Antichrist before we continue on the journey. It said, little children, it is the last time. And as ye have heard that the Antichrist shall come, even now there are many Antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time. This is how we know that we're in the last days. There will be many Antichrists. That means the spirit of the Antichrist will begin to work, and many individuals there be that will be operating with the spirit of the Antichrist. Before the person of the Antichrist comes into manifestation, in full-blown manifestation, the spirit of the Antichrist will go to work. And there are many people that will operate by the spirit of the Antichrist. Are you there? Okay. This is how we know. This is the evidence that it is the last time. This is the evidence that we're in the last days. The spirit of the Antichrist will become the operating system of many individuals. And it will surprise you to know from the next verse, you are going to see that the spirit of the Antichrist is going to be operational even on some individuals that are part of the things we do as church. Okay. Now, this is still in keeping with the spirit of the Antichrist. He said, they went out from us. That means the spirit of the Antichrist was operating in our midst. And there were individuals that were operating by the spirit of the Antichrist that were in our midst. But we did not have any means to check them. And because we could not check them, we lost our separation. We accepted a civilization that was all-inclusive. We accepted a civilization that subscribed to ecumenism. You know what ecumenism is? Oh. I don't want to define it. When you leave this place, click on your phone, go to Google and find out what ecumenism is. If I define it, there's no way. No, I will not define it. Are you there? Don't worry, I'm going somewhere. Just stay with me. So they went out from us, but they were not of us. You see, they were not of us. But were compelled by the religious correctness of our time to accommodate them in our midst, even though they were not of us. And that accommodation violated the principle of separation. And any time the principle of separation is violated, it will produce corruption and violence. The Nigerian church was the golden church of Africa. The revival that sprang forth from our borders was unequaled in the stories of revival that we hear. You've heard about Azusa? It's just that what happened on our soil was not documented. And that's our limitation. It wasn't documented. I've read about many mighty men that rose in the nations of the world. There's no story that I've read about that comes anywhere near what happened through that man, Apostle Joseph Babalola. Near! No story. But you see, it wasn't documented. So we believe it never happened. A man that during praise and worship, as they are singing praise and like we just did, he levitates. When you see that Western Nigeria received the gospel, most of us don't know what it means. It was when I was to marry my wife, they were based in Ile-Ife. So I used to go to Ile-Ife to see the family and stuff like that until we got married. And when we now got married, I was working in Lagos, so I was going to visit my in-laws once and again. That was when I discovered what was in that city. Now, these people have advanced in their knowledge of divination to a level of accuracy. The lens of divination has been adjusted to accommodate accuracy. What the Ifa priest prophesies comes to pass. In fact, most of our tribes are settled where they are settled today because of divination. And there was no stronger tribe in Nigeria today in divination than our brothers from the West. But there was a revival that overcame that foundation. And whether you like it or not, there is a prophetic spirit that is hanging over people from Western Nigeria. It's not natural. It came through the witness of a man. During praise, he doesn't want to raise the dead. He's just worshiping God, and he sees that angels will lift him up. Are you there? So I have a chronicle in my library, a very fat chronicle. Somebody took time to put the details of that man's life together, and they sent me a copy. I don't know who wrote it. I don't know who sent it, but it's in my library. None of the things you read in God's generals comes close to what God did through that man. Are you talking about people that were raised from the dead? That's lunch box issues. Are you talking about healing sicknesses? In fact, a man operated in healing to a point that he became tired of praying for the sick. And he went and prayed over a little stream that was in his neighborhood. And people were going into the stream for healing. And how many years, 20-something years after he died, a madman still entered that stream and came back healed. The will of God, the dimensions of the expectations of God concerning the potential of the church in this nation was eclipsed by darkness. And what we have today in its best is a state of compromise. And this state of compromise was occasioned by the violation of several principles that are critical to maintaining the civilizations that come from God. Are you still with me? Now, this is the Antichrist strategy. He said they went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would no doubt have continued with us. So you are going to see statements like from us, of us, with us. Are you following? He said if they were of the same substance, if we were homogeneous, the proof of the fact that we are of the same stock would have been that they would have continued with us. But they went out from us. But they went out that they might be made manifest that they were not all of us. So if the devil wants to strangle that which God is doing, the first ground of compromise he will sell to us is to violate the principle of separation. Are you still with me? Okay. Now that you are coming gradually, let me also come gradually. Can we do Exodus chapter 12 from verse 33 to 38? You will see one of the major challenges of the church in the wilderness. I hope you know when I say the church in the wilderness, you know what I mean. When Brother Stephen was giving his recap on the move of God that had been captured in the nation of Israel, when he came to Moses, no, you are not following. Okay, so please give me Acts. Before we go to Exodus, can we do Acts chapter 7, verse 37 and 38? Let me establish. Meanwhile, we are going to do, next year we'll do a teaching, because I'm developing it already, the church in the wilderness. By the time we finish that teaching from start to finish, your eyes, you have new eyes and new lenses. If you visit a place that they call a church and it is not a church, you will know. Yes, that's the reason for that teaching. If you lose your capacity for discernment, in the name of church, you will serve devils. Because the principle of separation has been compromised. So what we have is no longer homogeneous, it is heterogeneous. So this is Stephen trying to give us an insight into the person and the ministry of Moses. He said, this is that Moses which said unto the children of Israel, a prophet shall the Lord your God raise up unto you of your brethren, like unto me. Him shall ye hear. Verse 38. This is he that was in the church in the wilderness, and with the angel which spake to him in Mount Sinai, with our fathers who received the lively oracles to give unto us. So Moses was considered as the shepherd of the church in the wilderness. The church in the wilderness journeyed from the land of captivity into the land of promise. The church in the wilderness stopped 42 times in the journey. Are you there? So there were 42 stations that the church stopped. And by the time you go to the book of Matthew, you are going to see in the book of Matthew, when the generations of ancestors leading to Christ was captured in the book of Matthew, you are going to see that it was 42 generations, which is consistent with the 42 stations that Israel stopped when they were transiting from the house of bondage into the house of promise. So, if we study the church in the wilderness accurately, you will see a prophetic journey of the church of Jesus in every age. In fact, you can even trace and track where the American church is in that journey. You can trace and track where the Ghanaian church is on that journey. So what I want to do now is to show you that even in the church in the wilderness, Satan had already pioneered this principle of removing separation from the advancement, so that anything that God gets at the end of the day will be a compromised position. And the glory of God in its entirety and fullness will not be able to rest on that civilization, because it doesn't look like the arrangement that is established in the heavens. Meanwhile, the idea of God is that thy will be done on earth the same way it is done in heaven. Exodus chapter 12, verse 33. Then you will see what Satan did. And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people that they might send them out of the land in haste. For they said, we be all dead men. And the people took their dough before it was leavened, and their kneading troughs being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses, and they borrowed of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required, and they spoiled the Egyptians. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Sukkot, about 600,000 on foot, that were men beside children. Verse 38. Can you see that? And a mixed multitude went also up with them, and flocks and herds and very much cattle. The guys were moving. What Satan did was that he smuggled. Oh my God, you are not following me. You are not here. I've not started striking the matters. They are matters. There are obvious matters in the landscape of the church of our day that I want to open your eyes to. But we need to start with scripture, so that you will not say it's an invention of my own strategy, an invention of my own thinking. I had what I wanted to say before I came and tried to look for scriptures to align with. The Bible is not capable of private interpretation. It's a book of one author and many writers. And that's why the principle of witness must be satisfied in bringing out a position of truth. Are you there? A mixed multitude. Satan now arranged a mixed multitude. This mixed multitude, they have a different God. They have different ways. They have different approaches to life. They have different philosophies. This mixed multitude joined themselves to the people that God was delivering, to set up a nation that was a nation under God, so that God's authority in its fullest extent will be found and factored among the people, and God will be able to manifest the same civilization that is in heaven upon the face of the earth. In order to forestall this, why no one was watching, a mixed multitude also say, we are delivered. And they followed them. You know, this verse is quiet in the book of Genesis, in the book of Exodus. It's quiet, it's a mixed multitude. And then you think, okay, that's all. Wait. Numbers chapter 11, verse 1 to 4. The devil will always attack the principle of separation. And if he succeeds in doing this, he has compromised our civilization. And when the people complained, it displeased the Lord, and the Lord heard it, and his anger was kindled, and the fire of the Lord burned among them and consumed them that were in the uttermost part of the camp. And the people cried unto Moses, and Moses prayed unto the Lord, and the fire was quenched. Can you see God fighting against his people? And he called the name of the place Taberah, because the fire of the Lord burnt among them. Verse 4. And the mixed multitude that was among them fell a lusting. So it is the lust of the mixed multitude. They will share it among the congregation. When you hear them agitating, say, hey, we need. The engineer of that campaign is a little fraction of the population, is a mixed multitude. They have a different God. They have different principles. They were not children of Israel. They did not know the God of Israel. They did not subscribe to the God of Israel. What made the God of Israel to fight against his people and to release fire on his own people was because of the lust of the mixed multitude. So if Satan wants to downgrade the quality of Christianity, what he does is that he gets people from his camp to become pastors. And then he makes sure that these pastors have a loud voice. And guess what? These guys will be pushing for the golden plan. And the golden plan is ecumenism. In ecumenism, let us come together. You are different, I'm different. We have a different God. You have a different God. You worship something else. But for political correctness, let us just be together. So the golden plan of Satan, of the spirit of the Antichrist, is to push for ecumenism. And in ecumenism, we are heterogeneous. In ecumenism, we are not of the same sort. We don't worship the same God. We don't subscribe to the same principles. We are not operating from the same source. We don't have the same values. But so that it will look as if we are one, let us unite. Somebody's an Ezemo. He has an altar. He dances to the spirit naked in the night. But ecumenism will recommend that it is in our interest to be one. But if we try to subscribe to ecumenism, you will discover that what will drive our civilization will be the lust of the mixed multitude. Under such circumstances, the mixed multitude will become powerful, more powerful than the original Lord. And because of that, we'll provide concessions to accommodate the mixed multitude in such a way that there will be no crisis. And in that compromise, what we have done is that we have violated the principles of separation. And the product is going to be corruption and what? And violence.